Hi, my name is Richardo Jackson, CEO of Campbell Health Solutions. I just wanted to hop in here before the show begins to let you know about our Tuesday late night clinic. Basically, it's every Tuesday from 5 to 9 p.m. by appointment only. We do HIV testing, primary care, wellness checks, STD screening, and treatment. So just give us a call at 561 208 6595 to schedule your appointment.
Well, hello and welcome to Positively Positive. And I am your host, Susan Mintz. This podcast show episode is designated completely for people and places and all things related to HIV and AIDS. The only show of its kind. The only people, Campbell Health Solutions and myself, doing this. And our guests have been amazing. Somebody said to me that my rings looked so heavy that I couldn't pick my hands up. Yes, I can. We have an exceptional guest tonight. This show has been doing so well. Season 2 has really taken off. We have some new guests, older guests. Not that they're older, but they've been on before. But resources, that's what I'm about. I want to promote. We want to promote what you're doing in your area, in your community, in your city, in your state. This podcast, I don't even like podcasts anymore. This show is going national. We're going to end up getting syndicated. We're going to get a big sponsor from some drug company. We know what we're doing here. We are highlighting HIV and AIDS that no one else is doing or talking about or has ever done. Not this way. So again, I'm Susan Lee Mintz. This is Positively Positive. And I'm going to bring my guest on in just a moment. But we want your stories. We want to know what you're doing, not just here in South Florida. We want to know what you're doing all over the country because it's so important. We're removing the stigma of HIV one story at a time, one episode at a time, one podcast at a time. And believe me, I know what I'm doing. And I know that this is a gimmick look, but don't play with me. My story is out there. My life is out there. This is my ministry, HIV, and Campbell Health Solutions knows what they're doing. So don't think that we do not know what Richardo Jackson and myself are doing. We do. So now, you know what I do, some of you. Oh, everything looks so different when I take these glasses off. When these glasses come off, that's when I tell you about my guest, and then I will bring him on. My guest tonight is Graham Brunk, who is the area manager for the Belle Glade Public Palm Beach County Library System. The library system is being represented tonight. So I will say, Graham Brunk, come on in.
Hey, how are you?
Yay. Hi, what a great voice. I remember your voice. Oh, I'm fine. I'm wonderful. I'm just so excited that you're on and that you have so much to talk about with the library system. Because I think in our pre-interview, we kind of talked about, I grew up in Troy, New York. We had one library, and it was the Dewey Decimal System, and it was one librarian, and she'd tell you where to go. And of course, it was next to the one of two banks. It was just a small town. And I haven't been in a library in decades, but what I know they do now is everything. So what I want you to do is tell me where you're from, how you ended up in Belle Glade with the library system. They are the Palm Beach County Public Library System. So where you're from, how you ended up there, and why you love what you're doing.
Yeah, sure. I was born and raised here in Palm Beach County. I grew up in Boynton Beach. I live in West Palm Beach now. I drive out here to Belle Glade every day. A little bit about my background. I started my library career. I worked at the West Palm Beach Library in downtown West Palm. I also worked at the Society of the Four Arts in Palm Beach, as well as the Riviera Beach Public Library. When I was working on my library science master's degree, one of the projects that I worked on was researching the library in the Glades area as one of my focuses. And I actually came out here and I met with the previous branch manager who had been here for a very long time at that point. And she answered a whole lot of questions. I was able to, get a lot of interesting stories to put together in part of my project. That was about 7 years before I started this job. I never would have imagined that I would have actually had her job 7 years later. It was my dream to come out here and work. I really enjoy this type of work. I oversee the library in Belle Glade, Pahokee, and South Bay. There's the Belle Glade's kind of the bigger library, the kind of the Western regional hub for the library system out here. And then Pahokee and South Bay have two small locations. Each one is very unique. Each city is very unique. The members really appreciate everything that we have to offer. As you mentioned, we do still have traditional books, but we have a lot of other new and unique services that we offer as well.
And that's what I'd like to get into. I know you must like books, because if you're in the library working, you got to still be a reader or like books. You don't just show up and be in your position you are. So you probably were a reader and liked books. But I want you to tell me what the libraries, and Belle Glade is so necessary that we give, we highlight Belle Glade once in a while, because it's almost like it's not even a part of Palm Beach County, which hurts my spirit, because it is not as affluent, let's say, as certain parts of Palm Beach County, or have the resources or the infrastructure. But the library, you previously told me, was really an epicenter. It was a beautiful new building. And what do you have there that makes this library so incredible, and how you can service so many people, not just in Belle Glade, but all over Palm Beach County if they choose to go to a beautiful facility?
Yeah, so we moved into this building about 12 years ago in 2013. The library in and of itself is going to be 100 years old next year. The Belle Glade Library started in 1926 by the Belle Glade Women's Club. The city ran it for many years, and the county took it over in 1986. And then we moved into this building here, like I said, about 12 years ago. So this is a state-of-the-art facility. We have 5 study rooms, a group study room, a very large meeting room, a conference room. Just to start, for people that are looking for quiet spaces to study. I know a lot of people in Belle Glade live with large families, and if you're like going to college, or you're even in high school, or you just need a quiet place to work that's not your home, we have that here. We have laptops that we check out for people to use here in the library, so that if they want to borrow one and just go into a quiet corner and not use one of our regular computers, they could do that. We also have hotspots that we check out as well. So for people that maybe don't have internet access at home, they could essentially check out the internet and take it home with them. We also offer a lot of trivial things too, like we have these birding backpacks that we loan out for people that are interested in exploring some of our county parks, and they come with binoculars in them and some guides that might tell you a little bit about the plants and the birds that you might see. Not to mention, we do have traditional books. We have a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays. We offer a lot of ebooks online as well. One of the big things that we do offer, though, or we do have a lot of activities at all of our locations. There are 19 of them throughout the county, 19 locations. Out here, we do try to focus a lot on, we find that e-government services are something people have a lot of demand for. A lot of people want to learn about different health issues. HIV is a big one out here in the Glades and has been since the beginning. So that is still a very, very relevant topic here. We also try to do a lot of craft activities. We do have a lot of people that like to just do, put things together. We have an upcoming activity about building terrariums, which should be really neat. We've also had activities about, we partnered recently with the Criminal Justice Commission to educate people a little bit about the criminal justice system in Palm Beach County. Everything from the way PBSO operates, how our clerk of courts operates, how the jail operates. And those are always a very big draw out here as well.
So people can, is it free to rent out some of these rooms for activities?
Yeah.
Or is it just first come, put your name on a list? And if you need a small conference room or a larger one, do they have to bring in their own food? Is food allowed? How does that work?
We've worked really hard to try to break down those old-fashioned library barriers that people probably think of,
Yeah.
an older person, with glasses and a bun that might, be trying to shush you or tell you to be quiet. We aren't like that these days anymore. It's accepted that there's going to be a little bit of noise in the library. We don't mind if people are quietly, talking, on the side, talking on their phone or having a conversation with somebody. Maybe they're meeting somebody and just sitting at a table in the library and talking with each other. All those things are allowed. Nobody's going to shush you. The only time that might happen is if you're being really, creating a real disturbance. But for the most part, that's not an issue. We don't mind if people bring little snacks or they have a bottle of water or, a lidded drink with them or some coffee or something.
And so in your position, do you oversee this whole library system in Belglade? Because I understand, I think there's 2 other branches in Belglade.
Yes, in Pahokee and South Bay, we have 2 smaller locations. So I oversee both of those as well. They have a smaller staff. The buildings are much smaller, but they offer just the same services that all of our other locations do.
And as far as resources, you have people there how many people work there who, and I'm sure everybody who works there understands what's going on. What about if it's like an HIV issue or STDs? Is there anyone designated in particular where it's a safe place for people to go, obviously?
Yeah.
Of a different persuasion or gender, it's probably a safe place that people feel comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing people should realize about the library is that we're not really here to judge. I mean, people come to us with questions of all types, from all different kinds of issues, all the time, where they may want to research them or they're not sure where to turn on how to get help. So, for example, maybe if somebody is recently diagnosed with HIV and they're not too sure what to turn, but they want to learn more about, the disease they've been recently diagnosed with, maybe they're not comfortable sharing it with too many people yet. They could literally walk into the library, walk up to our, computerized catalog system and look up books, retrieve the book off the shelf, and they could even check it out at one of our self-checkout machines. So if they choose, they don't even have to interact with a staff member. But if they really aren't sure where to turn or they want to talk to somebody and see where they could turn, we could not offer them not only books or, online resources where they might be able to find information, but hopefully connect them to different agencies within the county as well.
We'll post the website and your information and phone number. But the other thing is is it probably something like a little directory of events that are coming or book signings or people, because I think you're probably very active, as a lot of libraries are, with sponsoring a lot of different events.
Yeah, definitely. Our website does list the events at every location. You can even break it down by location. So if you want to just see what's going on in Belglade, or if you live in Jupiter, or you live somewhere in West Palm, or whatever you have it, you'll be able to see the events there. Each location does have our monthly magazine, which is called Happenings, which also does list all the different activities happening at each location. There's even a special section in Happenings that focuses primarily on health related topics. So if that is something in particular you're looking for. One thing we are in the process of doing as a library system is our main library on Summit Boulevard in West Palm does have some specialized librarians that focus on specific topics. And one of those positions, I think I've mentioned to you before, is our health and wellness librarian. So that's a new position. Well, it's an old position where they've changed it up a little bit. And I think they're in the process of recruiting somebody for that position now. And that person's job is going to be to work all over the county with all the different locations to hopefully bring, health related activities and, materials to each location, for
That's
the public to
wonderful.
access.
What events get the most Are there any days that get the most people, or any events in particular that are speakers? What do you find? Because again, Belgrade is I think marginalized, to use the buzzword for today's
Mhm.
world, marginalized, and a lot of people there don't have the resources for computers and laptops and even access to so many of the things we take for granted. Are there certain uh, events that get more attention or get more of a turnout, or how do you promote?
Well, let me see. Let me think. We do offer computer classes at all three locations. So we have
Oh, that's
worked very closely with the cities of South Bay, Pahokee, and Belglade, as well as some of the senior centers out here, to have them come into the library, bring their group of people into the library so that they could, participate in those classes. We've also done the opposite, where we've gone to where they are. I know that there's a place in Pahokee that's like a daycare center for people with Alzheimer's, and we've
Mhm.
actually brought activities to them. So since it's not as easy for them to always get to us, so we bring crafts and stuff, stuff like that to them. So computer classes tend to be pretty popular. As I mentioned, anything to do with crafts seems to be draw a lot of attention at each of our locations, especially with adults. We do have very active children's areas in all three locations. The Belglade Library is across the street from a middle school and an elementary school, so we do get
Oh,
a large amount of teens in the afternoon and kids from the elementary school, and we try to have something for them every day. In the summer, we do participate in what we're going to call a summer reading challenge, which is we offer a version of this for children, teens, and adults, where we try to encourage them to read as much as they can in the summer and try to log that and bring it back. And there's all sorts of prizes and incentives for them. So that includes adults as well. And you can read anything. So it could be a nonfiction book, it could be a fiction book, whatever you're most interested in.
now is the library funded by Palm Beach County, or do you get state, or do you get federal assistance?
Most of the money for our facilities here is local taxes. So there is a special taxing district in Palm Beach County that's levied upon residents in our taxing district, where they pay specifically for library service, which is great because that means that the money from that tax is only used for library service. So it's raised or it's not raised. There is no like reallocating that money to somewhere else. There's no danger of something like that happening. So the library system here, we're very fortunate, is very well funded.
That's what I was going to say. It's not necessary to you're probably not going to be cut in our recent budget changes or people being laid off.
No, and I have to say, I do believe that a lot of our elected officials, like our county commissioners, are very supportive of our library system. Even out here, a lot of the city officials, I do have a lot of good connections with them, and they are also, especially South Bay, is the library in South Bay is situated directly next to the city hall, and they always try to find ways to include us in on stuff and to try to
Yeah.
promote our activities and everything. So we have a good working relationship with the cities.
That's great, because I really think that access to information is power. Knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
Power is not what you say, power is what you do. And I think the library today has been so wonderfully great for a community, because it is more like a gathering place. If you need to access an event, access a speaker, somebody. And I think it's a marvelous thing today that the libraries have so updated everything to meet the needs of a community. But I feel, my heart feels badly for Belglade, because I think it's left out of so much of the discourse in Palm Beach County. And personally, I just feel that because I live in, South County and Delray and Boca. And obviously, there's never a problem in Boca. Everybody's just, rich and has laptops and iPads and 89-inch TVs. I mean, it's crazy, right? Sure. And the other thing, though, is with the library, what gives you the greatest satisfaction?
I think that we are able to provide people with access to things and how to do it and how to do something without, they would have nowhere else to turn. I mean, for example, as I mentioned, as you pointed out, here out in Belglade, there is no Starbucks or any kind of bookstore or anything like that. There really is no third space where somebody can go that's not home or work except us. So as you mentioned, if somebody does just simply want a meeting space, we have something like that. Anybody's free to come in here. Our study rooms are first come, first serve. I think there's a lot of people these days that when they're looking for a job that maybe they've been laid off recently and they haven't
Oh,
looked for a job in 20, 30 years, that
that's
process
great.
is very different these days. Even just applying for benefits through the state, if you're trying to access things like food stamps, a lot of that
Yeah.
people just don't even know where to turn. We even offer right now through the beginning of April, we offer tax assistance for people that need help getting their taxes filed. If they make under, I believe it's around $75,000 a year, you can get your taxes done for free right here at the library. First come, first serve.
That's just wonderful. Yeah, I was going to say if you can sit up a little bit more because you're kind of talking down and I only see your chin there. And oh, that's great. The other thing is, what are your hours that you're open? And is it 7 days a week?
Yeah, so most of our locations throughout Palm Beach County are open 7 days a week, including Belglade. So we're open until 8 o'clock, 3 nights a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're open until 5 the rest of the time. And then at Sunday, we're open 12 to 5. Pahokee and South Bay are both open 6 days a week. They're closed on Sunday. But we have that Sunday service here in Belglade, which is something we introduced shortly after I became the manager nearly 5 years ago.
If you could add one more thing, I mean, you're talking about what it offers. If you could continue to add even more, what would you like to see more in the library?
Out here, I would like to see a lot more adult participation. It's really, really difficult to get adults engaged in activities out here. And I do think it's something that you kind of mentioned before, like down in our branches that are down in the Boca Raton and Delray area. I do think there are a lot of adults that do have more free time to do things. I do think people out here do work
Yeah.
very hard and long hours. And so I do think that time is probably limited. And I do think there's that thought process too of what the library used to look like. And we have people that come in here all the time that haven't been here since we were in our old building, and they're amazed at what they see.
Oh,
One big thing that we have coming up soon, hopefully, when the construction starts, is we're going to have something called a creation station built here in the library, which is a small room with Apple computers and fancy microphones like I'm using right here, green screens, so that if people want to film a video or record a podcast, they could just sign up and use the room and access all this expensive equipment they might not be able to afford or have at home and
wow.
use it right in the library. A couple of our locations, Lantana, Wellington, and our main library already have this, and they are looking to expand this to a few more, and we are going to be one of those locations. So that is awaiting permitting at the moment, but it is something to come very soon.
That's wonderful because podcasts have taken off. Literally, I think they're just, visual bloggers. And I think I call my place as a podcast, but to me, it's a show because it's different, obviously. So I think that would be great for so many people who want to do something like this. And
Yeah,
they
because
don't have the equipment. They don't even know where to begin. But other than that, I'm down the road from the Glades Road,
Mhm.
Palm Beach County one, and they have a lot of seniors that get their books, DVDs, their CDs. I get CDs and DVDs mixed up, but they get them because I know there's a lady who sits at the pool. She probably reads 5 books a week. I mean, she's there all the time. She gets her movies there, but there are more seniors in that branch than there are children because of its location. It's right near Century Village, near Whisper Walk, and it's a very busy area. So they get a lot of seniors who don't also have the skills to even know what they're doing. So they can go there and learn how to do, or if they don't have anything to do, they can go to events or they can hear a speaker or they can do more. The libraries to me have just become a gathering place of information and access. You said there's 2 other facilities in Belglade that have libraries. You're the
Yeah,
main one.
you're the big one, and then South Bay and Pahokee are the two smaller ones.
And where?
South Bay, which is about 5 miles to the south of Belglade, and then Pahokee is maybe about 10 miles to the north. So
Why do
they're
you
the
have
three. Hmm?
why do you have 3?
Well, so as I mentioned, the Belglade Library was set up by the Women's Club in 1926. The Pahokee Library was very much the same. It was set up by the Women's Club in 1938.
Mhm.
So South Bay has a bit of an interesting story. They never had their own library or really a budget to build one. But when the library system started in the late 60s, we did provide bookmobile service to South Bay. But who was Mayor Clarence Anthony in the 1980s, he felt that the city of South Bay really deserved its own library, and that Belglade was too far for a lot of the kids that lived in South Bay. And it is. There's a lot. It's a dangerous road with a lot of big trucks. It's just not safe for kids to really ride all the way to Belglade. And he
Yeah,
successfully lobbied the county in 1992 to build a freestanding library there. The city donated the land, and we built the building and opened in May of 1992. It just celebrated its 30-year anniversary in 2020.
it's wonderful.
And Clarence Anthony, whom the building is named for, he is now the director of the National League of Cities in Washington, D.C., but he did come back and visit us for the 30th anniversary. And I believe he's the first person that's ever received what we call the keys to the county. It was not something the county has ever really done before.
What was
Like
that?
a
I didn't.
recognition.
Would you say that again?
So,
I didn't catch that.
yeah, when we celebrated the 30-year anniversary, Mayor Anthony, who was Mayor Anthony, is now the National League of Cities director in Washington, D.C. He came back for our 30th anniversary, and the county commissioners at the time gave him what we call the keys to the county, which is a, kind of like a celebratory award for all the services that he has provided to, or the impact that he's had on Palm Beach County. And the library is certainly one of them.
It's interesting that it took a women's club to start this whole interest in libraries and those other facilities. It takes a woman to start this.
It did.
The other thing what is the address? I know we have the pbclibrary.org up, and we'll put your information up, and the phone number, but what is the address for people who want to go?
Yeah, we are at 725 Northwest 4th Street in Belglade.
725 Northwest 4th Street in Belglade. Yep. That's the big one.
That's the big one. We're right across the street from Lakeshore Middle School. So that's the big landmark that people could probably find that we're near.
So you do get children that come after school probably.
Every day, children, and especially in the summer. One thing we have found about Belglade is a lot of kids here are like what we would call latchkey kids, where their parents have to work, and the kids really don't. After school, they can't go home right away, or in the summer, they really have nothing else to do. And so a lot of them do come here. So in the summer, we'll have kids coming through here all day long. And in the afternoons, once elementary school gets out at 2:00, from that time until we close, we generally have quite a few teens and kids, which is why we try to provide something different for them to do every day, whether it's a craft or some kind of, we do a lot of, kids do like graphic novels and Japanese anime. So we have an anime club where, they can watch some of that and have some, Japanese inspired snacks. Sometimes we have video game day. Sometimes it's board games. It's a whole lot of different things.
That's so wonderful, because I'm sure when you say latchkey, they don't have a place to go. And if they're on the streets, they're going to get in trouble. But if they know they can go right across the street and have a warm, safe, healthy environment where they can grow, you're producing the next, generations of kids that are going to be going to college or going to be going on to other things, because the availability that they don't have maybe in their house or any supervision. You're really doing daycare, night care, afternoons. Just seems like it's wonderful.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll turn into lifelong library users as well. So if they get exposed to it when they're younger, they'll always remember and they'll come back. And we have that. We have some people some teens that went to the middle school when they were in middle school across the street here. They've gone on to high school. The high school's on the other side of town, but they've now come back, and they are some of our teen volunteers that we have.
And it must be very personally rewarding for you to be in your own area. You said you were born in Palm Beach County. You were born here in West Palm. And so your life is here, but it must be very rewarding to see so many who have perhaps so little benefiting from what the library does give does do the services you provide. I mean, it's even much more than a book or a movie. It's, you said there's crafts and events and tutor. I mean, you have tutors there.
There are tutors that use our facilities all the time. We also have, we even provide some old traditional services where that, people might not have anywhere else to turn to do this. For example, faxing, like using an old-fashioned fax machine. That's still a thing because when you apply for government services because of HIPAA laws, oftentimes you can't submit stuff electronically still. So people might wonder, well, where do I go to get a fax machine? Well, all of our locations have fax machines that you can use.
Yeah.
We also sell PalmTran bus passes.
Oh,
This is the
wow.
place to go to get access. PalmTran is heavily used out here in Belgrade.
Oh, so the library in Belgrade does have the Palm Train. You can apply there,
Yes, all of our library locations sell PalmTran bus passes.
and they sell them.
Yep.
What are there any charges for the services though that you do there? How does that work?
Yeah, so generally, like for faxing, for example, it can vary a little bit, but generally it's $1.75 for the first page and then $1 per page after that. And then when it comes to printing, we have a lot of kids that come in here that are working on schoolwork or even adults that need to print stuff out. We charge 25 cents a page for black and white and 50 cents a page for color. And then the bus passes vary quite a bit. We sell everything from 1-day passes, which I believe are $5 for unlimited rides for one full day, all the way up to monthly passes, which I believe are, I want to say, around $77.
Wow.
We even have the reloadable cards as well, which is something new PalmTran has introduced.
And what is that? What is that?
So basically, for some people, they have one card that they own and they can continue to reload money on it to use the bus. And it's popular out here because PalmTran does offer a bus service out here called Go Glades, where it's almost like an Uber type service where you can request the bus on demand. Something they only do out here because Uber doesn't really exist out here, but allows people to get door to door for where they want to go.
And what is that?
PalmTran pass.
What is that service you said? It's called Go Glades. What is
Go
it?
Glades. Yep.
And what is that again?
So it's almost like an Uber-like service because there is no Uber or Lyft out here. The demand is too low. So PalmTran offers these little buses that they call Go Glades, where you can use an app on your phone to request the bus, and they kind of queue you up with other people, so they group them together. So I think there has to be like a 2-hour planning window, but it's $2 a ride. You can pay with your PalmTran pass, and they'll take you door to door where you want to go. So if you live in Belgrade, and you want to get to the library, they'll take you right from your front door of your house right to the front door of the library here.
That's why I wanted you on so badly, because I wanted you to talk about the other services that people can get, not just reading a book, but what the library can afford for other people to access, because it isn't an area that's got everything at their doorstep. And that's why I wanted to have what the library does. You just said the PalmTran. People can get their PalmTran passes there, and they can get their Go Glades ride passes there, because there's no transportation or bus services there to go to West Palm Beach.
The Go Glades is really popular. Another thing I was going to mention, the way that I had met you, one of the things we try to do is we try to partner with a lot of different county agencies to, offer a space out here so that people in the Glades can be, included in some of that. The PBC HIV Council was one of them. So they used to try to host a meeting out here occasionally. We have a very large meeting room we're fortunate here in Belgrade to have. I guess, there's a handful of people that are part of the council that live out here that have to participate. And we were trying to brainstorm a way that we can continue to involve them, even when the meetings were happening in Riviera Beach, which is not accessible to the people living out here. And so we started providing the meetings on Zoom so that people could attend the meeting by just coming into our conference room. And I set up the TV in there. We put some bottled water out, and I print out all the materials, any kind of budgets or agendas. And that way it keeps the county in compliance with all the different things that they're trying to access through the Palm Beach County HIV Council. And that was one of the things I think I was recognized for when I met you at the PBC HIV Council retreat. was because
Yeah.
we were partnering with them to offer that service. And we do this with a lot of different county departments as well. The Parks and Recreation Department also likes to use our meeting room to kind of show off to residents what some of the plans are for some of the parks out here. Palm Tran will use it occasionally as well.
That's what I'd like. I'd like you to think of other agencies or organizations or senior centers or HIV facilities or places in Belle Glade that I could get somebody from there. I really want to have more people on this program from Belle Glade so that they feel included in everything that, we have people all over the country that watch, but this is where I live, Palm Beach County, and I want to have the Glades mentioned more. And if you can get with any of your colleagues and friends who are running the senior center there, or any kind of facility that would be more HIV obviously related, then I would love them. But I just think it's important, even the things you talked about, and it's a voting place too, right?
Yes, two of our locations, Belle Glade and Pahokee, are both voting precincts.
I
In
bet you it
fact,
was
we are
small.
our two library, the Pahokee and Belle Glade libraries are the two locations, the only two locations for early voting when we have it out here. So there's a lot of precincts on election day, but for early voting, the Pahokee Library and the Belle Glade Library are it.
That I bet you were swamped. You had a lot of
We
people
did.
vote.
And not only that, but also another service the library offers is you can register to vote at any library as well. We can walk right in. We have all the paperwork for you to do. If you are already registered to vote and you need to change something, we can do that for you as well. If you want to change your party, if you want to change your address, whatever it may be, you can do that at any library location as well.
God, you're better. I feel I should go there and get my stuff done. You're easier there than I got to deal with stuff. But that's so wondering. It's so amazing what people do. I meet so many different people in my life and find most of them are dull or boring. And not to be mean, but most people, they're not in where I am. I'm 30 years into the HIV epidemic, 40 years. I mean, my story's out there, my books are out there. And for me, I just want people to be visible. My whole thing with this show is just visibility. It's not this character, it's the visibility of what we have, not just here, but what are people we pass every day doing? I mean, if it wasn't meeting you at an event, I wouldn't know about you. And you getting me to somebody else in the Glades who's involved with HIV specifically. That's what this program is about. It's sharing information. And it's exciting because that's what we're about, information here. It's not ego. It's not attitude. We will go syndicated and get a big company sponsored us one day, a drug company. I'm praying it out into existence with you. But we're still doing work here in Palm Beach County that's necessary. And certainly so are you. I just never thought the library did so much, and the movies and it's amazing. And what else would you like to see? I think I asked you that before, but what else would you like to see?
One of the things that I like about my job most is definitely connecting with different county agencies and getting to meet different people, attend different events.
Yeah.
I also enjoy, even just here, if I'm working like at the front desk or something, just the different questions people might have. I mean, sometimes we get people whose families may have grown up in Belle Glade many years ago. They've never been here and they're trying to figure out exactly where the house might have been that their family lived in. And we'll dig through all sorts of old insurance maps and documents and try to see if we can figure that out. The streets have been renamed a lot, so it's always kind of hard. I did have a guy a few years ago, this was pretty memorable, that was looking for he was looking for a picture of his football team in high school. And we were able to locate that in an old yearbook, that we were able to print out a copy of the photo for him that he hadn't seen in a long time.
Oh,
And so I thought that was really cool too. A lot of
you're
people wouldn't
better.
come to us
You're
for that.
better than you're better than ancestry.com.
Well, in fact, we have access to the ancestry.com library edition right through for free. Right in the library, you can access everything that they have to offer right there. The yearbooks are in there, a lot of city directories, census records if people want to research their family history. I've even taught a class a handful of times. I've taught a few different classes on how to research your ancestry in the library here.
And so people can find out though about voting and transportation, and if they want to have a meeting, they can use your rooms. They have to sign up ahead of time.
They can walk in. It's first come, first serve. They can sign up to have access to the large rooms. The study rooms are first come, first serve. So they could walk into any of our locations and ask for a study room, and if there's one available, they'll be able to use it for a minimum of 2 hours, a maximum 2 hours, and then they can stay in there as long as nobody's waiting.
And then are you the one at the front desk most of the time?
Sometimes you'll see me. We have about, like I said, in Belgrade here, we probably have about 12 people that work here. So we have a children's desk and we have an adult services desk as well. So you'll see me out there from time to time. And I do try to spend time in my other locations as well. So sometimes it might be, since they're much smaller staff, that we need somebody to go over there and cover lunch.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes you may find it will be me, because I enjoy that, because I get to interact with people in South Bay and Pahokee that I might not normally see in Belgrade. So it's a great way for me to be in touch with those communities as well.
And when I say a safe place, I'm sure that you have, and I mean this just in the best way, but you have protection there. Is there a police department or a policeman outdoors or somebody to keep the riot control down?
Yeah, I mean, PBSO is very good to us. They do frequently visit each of our locations all the time to make sure we're doing okay. The South Bay Library is actually directly next door to the South Bay PBSO precinct. Each branch also does have a security guard. All of our locations have that. We do have a security guard that circles the building to kind of report anything unusual or help somebody that may need assistance if there is, somebody that's in dire need of assistance outside or something like that. So we feel pretty safe here.
Is there any hospital out that way?
Yes. In fact, I believe the hospital in Belgrade is one of a few public hospitals in Florida. The hospital is called Lakeside Medical Center, and it's actually operated by the Palm Beach County Health Department.
Lakeside
Medical Center, and it is a beautiful building. It is a state-of-the-art building. It's was constructed, I want to say, around 2009.
Lakeside Medical Center, and it is a public.
It is a public hospital.
I bet they do business. They're busy.
Yeah, they tend to be, and it's the only location out here. I do know they work very closely with Palms West Hospital as well. I do know that they have some of the same struggles I do. It's very difficult sometimes to get qualified people to work out here. For example, whenever I have a vacant librarian position, a librarian, like an actual librarian position, requires a library science master's degree. It's very hard to find people, let alone on the coast, let alone those that want to come out here. I can imagine the hospital is very much the same when it comes to doctors and surgeons. So I do know they do work very close with Palms West Hospital, share some of the professional staff. So I know that they've had some of those struggles. I know the county's always trying to find qualified people for different jobs that we have out here. I know that there's an electrician position with the county's facilities department out here that's been vacant for a couple of years because it's just been very hard for them to lure a licensed electrician. I have to say, as somebody who commutes from West Palm every day, a lot of people look at Belgrade as being extremely far away. It isn't. I mean, the commute is a pleasure every day. I don't sit in a lot of traffic. The Southern Boulevard all the way out here is pretty empty. It's a great time to listen to podcasts and audiobooks. So if there's anybody that ever would think of working out here, believe me, the commute is not that bad. I enjoy it.
You have to promise to listen to our podcasts and get some people
from
Belgrade. I'm sure you've tuned in on occasion. Mm-hmm. Not everybody can sit there for an hour and listen to this, but if you really care about it, you certainly will. But Campbell Health is, really been a wonderful sponsor of this. Richardo Jackson, who you know very, very well. And we just really want to get this thing where it's syndicated and can take off, because people need to know that there's places like a library. There's people who need to know that a library can do so much, that we have so much. But we've had so many great guests. And as it says, get tested. It's better to know that knowledge is power. Do you have doctors come in and speak, or any screenings there?
We used to do a series called Medical Mondays where we did have health professionals come in and speak about different topics. Sometimes it might have been HIV, sometimes it might have been Alzheimer's, whatever the topic of the moment is. Sometimes it's hard to find people to partner with. So I will say this to any of your listeners: if there's anybody that ever wants to come and speak, we're always willing to, partner with somebody to kind of work with them to create a fun library activity where we could, whether it be a talk or some kind of, craft or whatever it may be that may be the interest. I've had different agencies that have come here that have done testing as well. A lot of it comes from in the Belglade Library. Our large meeting room is a partnership we have with the city. So sometimes they'll have some kind of sponsored events where they'll host something. For example, a few years ago, we had a second chance event that was in that room that was really popular, and it was for people who had been incarcerated.
Oh,
Once they were out, this was a way for them to meet different everything from vendors that had to do with healthcare and health related issues, HIV, for example, or just trying to find potential employers or access to different services.
that's
We were
wonderful.
at the library, of course, was participating in that as well. It was one of the things that former Commissioner Melissa McKinley had sponsored. And we had that in the meeting room, and it was a really, really successful and really cool. And that was probably one of the most innovative things I've seen happen in there. And that was something that we certainly worked with the city on hosting in that space.
That's wonderful because there really needs to be community engagement when it comes to specific topics medically.
Yeah.
Especially HIV, there's still such a stigma around it that any visibility we can give, any doctor who can talk, any face we can see, any place we can go, it's just so important to remove that stigma one story at a time. And so, do you see yourself managing the entire Palm Beach County library system?
I don't know about that. I do very much, like I said, I'm very happy in this specific position that I have here. I think these 3 locations is really enough. I work really well with our library administration. They're all been really good to us and always seem to make sure that we're as included as much as possible as every other location is, and that we get access to all the things that we need to get access, even at the distance we're at. For example, we do have a courier that comes out here 5 days a week. So if you request a book that we don't have in our location, let's say the book you requested here, but it's at Glades Road, we can get it brought from Glades Road to here. So in just a matter
Ah,
of days. And not only that,
Georgia.
but if you want something even more, rare or unusual, maybe you want books that are written in Chinese. Even though we don't own any books written in Chinese here, we can certainly request them from one of the universities and have it brought here too so that you can check it out.
It's called Book Dash instead of DoorDash, but Book
Kind
Dash.
of,
That's
definitely.
see, the more we talk, the more we learn. And so the website was pbclibrary.org.
That's it.
Yeah, and we'll put the phone number down and your information too. We always want to make sure there it is, Brunk
There it
G
is.
at pbclibrary.org or call 561-996-3453 and ask for the man in charge. As far as partnering, do you get to go to the Care Council meetings very often? Because I don't think I see you there much.
Not usually the ones in person that happen in Riviera Beach, but the ones that the versions that we host out here, definitely the ones that we do via Zoom.
That's great. So you can send me some resources that you more affiliate with, because I go to the one when we have the Care Council up there in Riviera Beach. And I just really want as many resources on this show, not just stories, the resources, because it really is sharing information, which is power. And as far as people getting tested, we want people to get tested for HIV and to know their status so that they can make a healthy decision on what to do, where to go, what doctors. So I'm sure you have in the library, you have the availability for people, you said, who have, they can find out where to go. If they can research and find out a doctor in that hospital, Lakeside Memorial Hospital, or they can find out locally any of the services that they may need. Because the HIV, I know that there is a lot of HIV in the Glades. I mean, that's pretty
Yeah,
apparent that it's,
historically always been a big problem, I believe.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, anybody can come in here, and if they have some kind of issue that they'd like us to help them research and maybe point them in the right direction, we can certainly try to connect them to who they need to be talking to.
Yeah, and that's why I said safe place, because so many places today are not. And we all know why, and we don't have to get into it. But when you can go to a facility that is safe, there's so much of a different feel, even in the atmosphere. And that's just so important, because a lot of facilities don't have the availability that you have. You're I mean, you're one like one-stop shopping.
And it should be worth noting that anything that you do here is considered confidential. In fact, library records are protected by Florida state law. So anything that you check out that's not public record, nobody can demand that. Like, if you've checked out books on HIV, somebody else can't come in and say, "Oh, I want to see and so all the books that they've been reading," or anything like that. It's all completely confidential.
Oh, that's great. And nobody can go in and find out what
Nope.
anybody else has done.
Nope.
How does that work? I mean, if I come in and I want to check out all that, and then the next person comes in and use the computer, and it's supposed
Yeah.
to, do you have the disks that people can put in to save things?
Well, they can certainly use their own, USB drives that they can bring in if they want to save their files or something like that. But our computer systems are set up, even the laptops that people check out, that you can do everything you need to do while you're in your computer session. But once you're done and you log out, the computer completely resets back to the state it was in before you got
Oh,
on it. So even if you did accidentally save any files on there, they're not there when the next person logs in. Everything
oh,
gets
that's wonderful.
so you can't even accidentally mess up.
Oh, talk about privacy issues. That's wonderful. Just automatically wipe it clean.
Exactly. Libraries take all of that very seriously. And like I said, it is protected by state law as well.
Well, that doesn't mean anything to people. I mean
But we still take it seriously.
that's a joke. State protection, ha ha. Federal protection, ha. No, but I'm just saying, get rid of it. It'd
But
be
we
like
still
when this
take it
show is
seriously.
over,
Yeah.
control, delete, gone, that type thing. That's wonderful. The other thing is, we will tell you, that's a homework assignment. I give every guest a homework assignment that I want someone from your area that's HIV affiliated, preferably, or with, I hear about that senior center that's there, and I don't have any contacts there. I would like a contact
Yeah,
to,
we can
to
do
have
that.
people know that we have a senior center in Belgrade. Even though the show is HIV, AIDS related, there's still other places and things that must be brought up because
Yeah.
it hasn't gone away.
There's a nonprofit out here that's really plugged into a lot of the issues in the Glades community called the Glades Initiative. And they're the ones that I know that do a lot of the HIV testing out here and help
It,
connect. And so they're ones that we work with pretty closely when it comes to
it's called the
accessing
Glades Initiative,
Glades Initiative.
and that
And they have a
service.
multitude of services they offer, and HIV testing is one of them.
Oh, that's great. So in Belgrade, it's called the Glades Initiative.
Correct.
And they can get tested and referrals and learn about resources. And oh, that's like a compass of Belglade.
It is. And we've worked a little bit with Compass too recently. The Compass has got a grant not too long ago to expand their Compass youth group to a couple of our library locations, and Belglade is one of them. So every Tuesday afternoon, we have somebody from Compass that comes in that sits down with some of the teens, and they do a craft, they have snacks, they talk about different topics. They've been a really wonderful partner.
Oh, that would be great if you could get me somebody from there. And
Yeah,
you
sure.
have the calendar, or I'll send it on to you. And anybody on that calendar link, not your personal link, but the calendar, you can
Yeah.
send it to anybody. And if they want to know what it is, they can contact me, my information, or Richardo Jackson at Campbell Health. But that would be a wonderful, or somebody with the hospital, but somebody, especially what you just said, Glaze Initiative.
Yeah, definitely.
That's super.
We're connected.
I think this is just phenomenal. I'm so shocked because I don't, as a writer, I wish I like to read. I don't like to read, even though I'm a writer. I don't. My book is in the Glades Library. I don't think anybody's ever taken it out. Um, so you are. Where in West Palm do you live personally?
I actually live very close to the Palm Beach outlets near Palm Beach Lakes and I-95.
Okay.
So yeah, it takes me almost an hour every day to get here and back. But like I said, the vast majority of that drive is a pleasure. So, but I enjoy my job. I love the work I do.
I can tell you're, and even with the, when we talked before, you have it. It's amazing that you're calm and relaxed, and I know that you enjoy from your voice what you do, and you are probably just so wonderful with people because you're very approachable. And I'm so grateful that you said that you would love to be, you'd like to be on this program, because what, Dylan from Compass, Dylan Brooks, was on Monday night. It was a wonderful, wonderful interview. And that's what it's all about. Whether it's Miami or whether it's here or in Arizona, we don't care. We just want to make sure that people are aware that by talking, we remove this. So I just want to say thank you, Graham Brunk, for being an incredible guest and resource, and that you are going to send so many people from the Glades my way so that we can have more visibility for a very challenged area called Belglade in the Glades in Palm Beach County. And then I want to thank people for watching Positively Positive, and it's your support that has taken us to where we are. I mean, it may not be 100 million people right now, but we are doing something unique and different and needed. And you can follow Richardo Jackson and myself on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. That's his thing. And Instagram, of which I do not know how to use anything but Facebook. But that's okay. I have someone to help me. But that's where you can find us on all social media. Campbell Health Solutions, Susan Mintz, the Palm Beach County Library in Belgrade. We have Brunk G at the Palm Beach County Library.org. And it's just amazing. So thank you so very much for being on it, sharing this wonderful information with our audience. It's people like you who make this show successful. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you for letting me get the word out about the library.
Absolutely. Bye.
Bye.